STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
Today we're going to be finding out if the general public is ignorant or if they're just sarcastically asking the experts to see if the experts really know what they're talking about. This video here is Dave Ramsey explaining the national debt and how this can be paid back or not paid back. So we're going to dive into it here and hear the question, and here let's see what Mr. Ramsey's response is here.
Well, I'm a little embarrassed because this is really going to showcase my ignorance of the subject, but I've got a few questions about the national debt. Who do we owe this $33 trillion to? Why, as a country, did we borrow it in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Is it even possible or logical for our federal government to pay off this debt and operate debt-free?
Those are great questions. Well, who we owe the money to, or whoever bought the Treasury bills, are called T-bills. And the Treasury of the United States issues a bond. And if you buy that bond, then that means that if I buy a, $100,000 Treasury bond, that means the United States of America owes me $100,000 if I bought that bond. And it pays me a certain interest rate. Now, I know they're never going to pay the bond, or if they do, they're going to pay it by issuing another one.
Interesting description there, or analysis, or really a response. What are your thoughts, Double Up?
As you guys know, on this show, we love Dave Ramsey, and it just does a pretty good job revealing the scam that the fiat system is. And it just did it again. Number one, the United States issues a bond, right? So you issue an IOU to say, hey, we are the United States, we are the greatest country in the world, we have this many assets, we have this strong military power, our economy is strong, so that gives me the authority to just print money. It's a loan, basically creating debt. So you have to remember, number one, that is a debt-based system right from scratch. It's not that you've created that value and you're now selling the actual piece of value. They're not selling it. They're just saying, I can loan you because of the value that I have.
Yeah.
So you create a debt based on that. So now you say, I don't have to pay off that debt. This is after you've just created the debt out of the value that you said you created. But now you just give it out, but you never want to pay it back.
Right.
Right? And instead of paying it back, you issue another one. Basically, you just print another paper. What's that? I think that's what we call a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, that's theft. That's theft and extortion, actually. That's theft and extortion. Because what is happening there is that you have worked hard for your money. I don't have money that I've worked hard for, and I borrowed your money with the promise to pay it back at some point in time. But at the time when I should be paying back your money, I essentially print more fake notes and issue those to say that I will be paying back your money. So technically, nothing has happened. When they use this word, when they use this phrase, they can just issue more bonds.
T-bonds, treasury bonds.
Right? I don't think there's really anything happening there.
Nope.
Because to begin with, where did the bonds come from? So it's an IOU note. And it says, I'll pay you in the future. But then the time comes to pay in the future. And then you write another IOU note. That is insane.
In the past, it used to be that it was gold. And then you do the IOU based on the gold that you have.
Yeah. Well, let me reverse this another way. So if you have a credit card, which means you borrowed money from the bank.
Yeah.
And then the month end comes and it's time to pay your credit card. What do? You take another credit card to say you owe them, or do you just pay it back?
You know what has happened to people that have done that?
Does not work out so well, does it?
No. Using the credit card to pay another credit card?
It's a scam. It's simply a scam.
And he's smiling about it too.
Yeah, I don't understand. I think that there's a certain point where, you know, people started feeling like, well, it is okay to keep carrying on with this. I mean, I think people never gave these very deep thoughts. It is a scam. There's kind of no two ways to go about it. But we know that since a bunch of other powers accepted to this insanity, society just said, well, it's okay, we're going to carry on with it. But when you sit down and you really break it down, it's a scam. There's kind of no two ways around that. So, man,
Now you know.
wouldn't it be nice to actually have money that is backed by something limited in supply,
If
and
you
that
know,
cannot be
you know.
manipulated? Yeah. It's all a scam, folks. This is what we mean by when someone like Andrew Tate says the Matrix. You know, people come on and say conspiracy. What is the Matrix?
Mm-hmm.
I guess if it makes you feel better, if it makes you feel better about yourself, but when you go to sleep at night, you can only be on two sides. You're either getting wrecked by the system or you are part of the system. Mr. Ramsey can choose whichever side he's on.
Yeah.
Okay, which is if it actually ever does come due, that's how they do it. They'll issue another set to cover the ones that are coming due. But I also know that I can sell that bond at any moment because the credit rating of the United States of America is still strong. Okay, so that's how they finance it. And the danger is,
How can your credit rating be strong when you never pay your bills?
How do you even have credit if you are always in debt?
Yeah.
If you and I was in debt, we'll not have a good credit score. Trust me.
Yeah.
Our credit score will be in shambles if we had $34 trillion in debt.
Yeah. This is why we say it's a two-tier system, man. Not the same rules for everyone. It's
Really?
absolutely insane.
It said no, not to worry. We always have good credit. Like, who gets to design the credit?
Yeah, exactly.
Does the US get the same credit you and I get?
This is why I say the current credit system, the credit rating that is being assigned upon us as individuals is going to fade away. Okay? Because the credit system cannot be for the everyday person, but it's not for the people who are implementing it. At some point in time, people are going to deviate away from that, especially if you can prove that you have solid assets somewhere which can be used as collateral, like Bitcoin.
Can we go?
That is a more worthy way of proving your credit worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a more relevant way of proving your credit worthiness, your net worth, and really trust, because now you have something that someone can truly hold, something that is substantial, valuable, not how would you say, fungible, if you will, that you can actually use as evidence to back the value or something that you're trying to borrow against.
Yes. I was going to say we should do a quick deep dive into that. So right now on the Bitcoin blockchain, there are layer 2 solutions like Sovereign that allows you to loan out. And I'm not encouraging this, guys. But I think this is the future that we're going to, and I think this is what MSTR and BlackRock will do, and these banks will do eventually, where you can loan out your actual asset that you have, your actual digital asset, which is actually something tangible, although it's electronic, but it's still energy, which is stored. It's just store of value, right? And you can loan it out with almost zero interest rates or no interest rates, or you get to decide who you want to loan your money to, and not the banks.
Yes.
Even better, imagine coming out of college, right? You've been a great college student, but guess what? You don't get to have automatically a good credit score. They say you don't have any credit history. What blockchains like Bitcoin does, it says, hey, you have Bitcoin. I don't need to know about your history of credits or debts or whatever. I can loan you. Like it removes the all unfair markets against minorities. It removes that against people that are just starting to start their career. And literally, you just go to market, and as long as you have a job and you have your assets, you can start functioning like everybody else. There's none of that barrier where you gotta be an accredited investor, or you must have $200,000 in your portfolio before you can come and join this group of investors. All this decentralization does that.
Well, I'll also add here that you don't need credit history in order to be approved for a student loan.
Boom.
Isn't that interesting?
You don't need your parents.
Yeah,
credit
you don't need
history.
your parents either. You don't need a co-signer.
As a matter of fact, you don't need the student loan. You can just go straight to business and start your business.
Yeah. Why is that? So we'll push on.
When foreign countries or foreign entities of any kind, wealthy corporations in foreign countries buy up a bunch of that. That means the United States is in debt, say, to China, as an example. Deeply in debt to China. It's a little dangerous politically. But it's not like they can call the debt, or it's not like they can repo Kentucky. So it's okay. So, but
Let's talk about that. How's that okay? So the reason, first question you should ask yourself is, why do foreign countries buy the T-bills? You don't think they're doing risk?
This is true.
They're doing risk management. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll do this. We'll buy so much of your T-bills that you will not have the balls to mess with us. Because if you mess with us, we'll we'll tank your entire economy.
This is true. I mean, it's about to happen.
Right?
You see it happening. So,
And then if that's the case, and you say, okay, we want to screw you, and you say you don't give a care, you can come and attack me. Really? So that's what you're doing? Like, oh, I'm on my own little island. I don't have to pay back your debt. Come to war and fight me. So you've created so much bills to build this really strong firepower
yeah.
to the point that you can decide one day to say, I don't want to pay you. And now the person that you owe is like, I can't do anything. They have strong military. But we're forgetting that you can only be Rome for so long, because eventually there's also the Cyclops, which is now through the digital approach.
Absolutely.
They can shut down your entire economy without even landing on your coast.
This is true.
Somebody is not doing good strategy assessments for the government right now.
When the
Exactly.
revenue coming in from taxes and other things won't cover the expenses of highways and military and $45,000 toilet seats and $1 billion to this country and $8 billion to that country in supplies.
And all the
which
military
do
bases
pretty
we got all
regularly.
over the
We give
place.
billions and billions and billions away overseas. When we don't have the income in a year, the amount that we're short, the difference is called the deficit. And the amount that we borrow has gone up every year because we keep spending, not just spending more than we make, but every year spending more than we make. We raise the amount that we're going into debt. So when they say they cut the deficit, all that means is they didn't go over budget quite as much. That's all it means. And then the last question is, can we get rid of it? Mathematically, we could. I don't think we have the political.
Mathematically, you could get rid of the deficit. How will you do that?
Shut down everything.
That would still not be enough.
Bring on the militaries back.
That would still not be enough.
America first.
You just cannot. You cannot cut it off because
Military benefits.
America as a whole, if you sold America as a whole, then maybe you can pay that off.
But that would never happen.
Right. So mathematically then it's not going to happen because nobody's going to buy it.
I'll give you a good example. Argentina, the new president, right, is trying to do exactly that right now. Pay back the debt.
Right.
But the citizens are mad at him. Like, dude, life is getting difficult. But life's going to have to get really difficult to set back to zero.
Yeah, you have to go through the tough time. It's just what it is. Because at the same time, it's not like these people were enjoying life when their currency was all debased and everything. You cannot make everyone happy, that's for sure. Someone is always going to be complaining about something. But I think that, it's like they say, the good men, the tough men create good times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's doing now.
And Americans are too convenient. So they like the life of convenience to ever want to try to go through that type of difficulties.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the difficulty will come to you whether you're ready or not.
Willpower to do it. Because as soon as you tell your Uncle Henry, who gets a subsidy because he runs a dairy farm from the U.S. government, that he's not going to get that subsidy anymore because we're cutting our expenses, then he's not going to vote for that congressman. and that congressman's going to get replaced by a congressman who will spend money like he's a drunken congressman, right?
Yeah.
In theory, a lot of people say, I'd like to balance the budget where we're not going further in debt. But to do that would require cutting a lot of things out. And the problem is we're so far in debt now that a big portion of the budget is just the interest on the old debt.
Right.
And you can't cut that. You got to pay that. So where are you going to cut? You're going to cut money in the Middle East, money in the Ukraine, money to this country, money to that country. There's a lot of people talk about that. Are you going to cut the military? I mean, those people don't get paid anything anyway, and they put their lives on the line for us. I don't know how to do that. The amount of hate that it would generate because of the number of lives it would touch to cut everything necessary to cut to get it down to balance I don't know if anybody's got the political capital to pull that off. Either side. I think it'd be the last.
He's right about that.
Yeah, he's right about it, but I think that it also needs to happen, and in the process of doing that, is actually going to break down the government, which means there's going to be less government in people's lives, which means we're going to be actually heading in the right direction, because this whole thing has been set up in a way where you cannot escape it. You're now caught in this infinite loop of continuously borrowing. It's like crack, man. You're tapped in. And you cannot get out now. Because
what you know about crack?
Don't worry. I've taken crack a couple times in my life. But, did you ever know a crackhead can look this healthy? Yeah.
You're just fucking too much of that Bitcoin.
Yeah, but it's like an addictive drug, and it's this not just is an addictive drug. I think that American society is so tied into it that they're in this continuous infinite loop, which they cannot escape. One of the reasons why Americans, I think one of the reasons why people in the West will not be feeling so happy to disconnect from these kind of things is because we've already been introduced to these levels of convenience that we did not earn. You see,
life of luxury.
The things that you do not earn, it is difficult to go without them, because you don't know what it is like to put in the pain and work to get to that point. If you look at people in most African nations where there is no credit, they have no choice but to live within their means. And you wonder why they are happy. It's because they don't have the temptation presented to them to dive further than they can afford to, Which is the beautiful thing that people like Dave Ramsey himself always preach about. Creating a budget and living within your means, right?
The baby steps.
If you do that, you are no different from someone who is in a developing nation that does not have access to credit. You're just cutting back to live within your means. Now, if you are someone who has never known what it's like to live within your means from the moment you left high school, right? You're already in debt.
Credit card.
The idea of living on credit, it just seems like a normal thing to you. You just think that life cannot actually go on without credit. Then that is just your reality. The unfortunate thing is, there is the mathematical fact, which is another reality that can hit you down the line. And that is what this cutting back is going to look like.
Dave Ramsey puts America on baby steps.
Yeah, he put America on baby steps, man. His baby steps is looping back to come to him. Because there's going to be some further baby steps when it comes to understanding what true money is. And I think at that point in time, any financial advisor on the internet is going to have to answer some simple questions around living within a budget and the realities of credit. Which, if you think about it, I guess we're really not the smart people. Because if we are really smart, what we should be doing is to be borrowing the maximum and using all of that money, because we know that this thing cannot be paid back anyway, and just find ways to never pay it back legally.
Like Robert Kawasaki,
and all the others who continuously dive deeper into debt and then file for bankruptcy as an LLC or a corporation and such, not on their actual name. People wonder why Donald Trump filed for bankruptcy so many times, and they try to use it against him like he's a stupid guy.
Nope, he understands the system.
You do not fail in business multiple times and then continuously move upward in life. Use your brain for a second.
Yep.
But okay.
The man understands the way the system works.
Yeah, I know. When I see people, liberals specifically, saying things like, "Oh well, Trump is not smart because he started businesses and he failed in business. He filed for bankruptcy multiple times." Did you know that in this country, if your company filed for bankruptcy, you as an individual can keep moving on?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that you could actually strip all the money from the company before filing for bankruptcy?
Mm-hmm. And still keep some of that money.
The company can pay you legally. 1099.
Mm-hmm.
And then the company filed for bankruptcy. It does not have anything to do with the 1099 money that is sitting in your bank account.
Or your house. Or
People,
your car.
It's time to use your brain for like 2 seconds, man. Otherwise, we'll push on here.
Last time that party existed right now, because people have gotten used to being on the government dole one way or another. The local government in my county is waiting on $14 million right now to build a highway or to redo a road that runs up beside one of my houses. And they've been waiting 5 years on that $14 million instead of the local county handling their own business. It's that way everywhere. Waiting to do the bridge repairs until we get the government money, waiting to do this until you get...
Let me say something. If I borrowed money to the U.S. government to build a highway, let's say I have 14 million right now, and I borrowed this 14 million to the U.S. government to build a highway, and then time comes through, and they say they're issuing me another T-bill to extend on the 14 million that I just gave you guys to build a highway. I will come and park my cars on the highway. I will shut down the highway. We'll call the police, and nobody will use the highway until my money is paid.
Shall I tell you a story?
Yes, do tell.
This is when history kicks in. World War I and World War II was fought, guess what?
What?
On certain families' money. On certain businesses' money. People actually loaned the U.S. government money for those wars. Some certain family names, I will not mention it. So that Bretton Woods agreement that they went and had after the war was to say, hey, we know we can't pay this back. This is what we're going to do. Remember the implementation of the Federal Reserve as well? Did you know that when America was fighting the Revolution War against the British, they also took loans from the French?
Interesting. Who took loans from Israel? That's what I want to know.
That's a good one.
How much loans were taken from Israel? Because, listen, I'm telling you right now, if I was sitting at Bretton Woods and I borrowed you guys my money to go fight war, when you come back from the war, I'll say, no, I don't want the money back. I just own this part of your military now.
But you know, I don't want to get there's a specific family from that part of the world that actually loaned them those monies.
Do not call anybody's name. Okay, I do not want to be dead. Okay.
Unalived.
Yeah. No, we'll call it dead. YouTube can cancel us as well if they want, man. Okay, you guys have to change your ways. Stop trying to censor our speech.
So what actually happens, which is what happens over and over again, is that you now have that power over the countries, or you have power over people.
Yes.
So now they have to now create or implement systems to protect. Actually, I think we're gonna do one of these videos
to protect their investments.
To protect their investments.
Yes.
You see how that works?
It's reasonable. It's nothing unreasonable. I mean, is that not natural human transactions? If you invest in something, it is in your best interest to protect it. Your wife, your kids, your house.
But then everybody else underneath you gets to suffer for it for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. But that is the bad decisions of the people that the general people put into place.
But do we put these people in place? Because they now put themselves in place.
Then in that case now, it sounds like the people need to find a way out of this genjutsu.
And how do they do that?
That's why we are here. That's why we are here. That's why we're doing this video, people.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's why we're doing this video. Because the only way out of it is to fix the money.
Yup.
Because if you're expecting politicians who lie to you in your face every day,
we've been
constantly, to get into office, then suddenly change and act in your best interest. I have like 7 bridges in Africa I want to sell you. At least 7 of them.
7 bridges?
Yes. One of them is actually just a floating bridge. You can't even see it. It's just hanging out. It's insane. It's insane. And I think that it is just time for common sense, right? Because it seems to me that if I borrowed an obscene amount of money to any government, that government is now my security.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we've been able to see these people send the US government into another country to go find someone over something as simple as a file sharing service. This is why someone like CZ is still sitting here, unable to freely leave, even though there is no crime he's being charged for. It's insane.
Nobody told y'all that Warren Buffett actually loaned the U.S. government money during the 2008 financial crash.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
So there is one individual that can loan money to the whole government.
Yup. And
but
then you
the
wonder
whole government is in debt massively and expecting the whole country to pay it off. But we cannot afford to pay it off.
the problem is when that person does that, the government now start doing everything to benefit that person. That is why the Rockefellers and the Morgans get to...
And that should not be happening. That's the whole point, right? That should not be happening. Isn't that why the Federal Reserve is there? Because individuals should not be able to loan government money. Because when people loan money to the government, absolutely the government has to acquiesce to their requests. If you do not, lean in my direction, then I'll not loan you money again in the future. This is what it takes to be a good, debtor, right? Or borrower?
Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
And this is why decentralization is critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Take the money away from those primary authorities that control everything.
Yes. And give the control of the money back to the people.
To the people.
And that actually brings back fair markets.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes.
All right, we'll wrap this one up then.
I think that's it, though.
Is that it? Is that good?
I think it's just doing some more mumbling.
Well, it's just about listen up, folks. We hope you found this video valuable. We hope it was educational, or at the very least entertaining to you. The bottom line is, our society is enslaved by these government systems. It is our job to try to take back control of our money. If you would like to learn more about these things, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Share this video with your friends, and of course, hit that notification bell so that you may or may not be notified, depending on how YouTube feels. Of course, we're also there on X as STAKK and Spotify as STAKK as well. Any final thoughts here, Double Up?
Until you get the point of money.
Yes.
Until you get the point that debt destroys nations, destroys your life. You will never get Bitcoin. You never even understand the reason why we have cryptocurrencies. It's very critical that we start decentralizing the systems, taking the controls away so that you and I can get our life back.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the wheels are in motion. Until next time, praise and out.
Double O.